exciting, the ups and downs, the roller coasters. Peter Schrager, Nate Burleson, Kyle Brandt. My name is Kay Adams, and Kyle's calling me Sloan Peterson this morning. That's right, Fringe is back, baby.
Fringe is back.
And so are the Falcons. Eagles, Falcons, Sunday Night Football. Kyle, take me to Hotland.
Let's figure out how to save a life in honor of the fray. Guys, Eagles, Falcons. They've got Frey in her jacket. Carson Wentz was trying to save the team without Deshaun, without Alshon. Everybody was dropping for the Eagles, but late fourth quarter, he goes right up the middle. Says, give me this thing, and watch the Wentz spike. He spiked it so hard, he actually fell down. All right, so Dan Quinn, don't go 0-2, especially at home. Now 20-17, 2:20 left. Look at this play. The big block, and Julio is gone. Wow. Guys, 6 straight games with a touchdown for Julio Jones. Longest streak in the NFL. But Julio doesn't score touchdowns. Jake Matthews, look at this pancake. Oh, my gosh, bodied by Jake. And Julio is gone, guys. But the game is not over. Never, ever give up on these Eagles. Down 4. 2nd and 2. Under 2 minutes to play. Look at this beautiful pass by Carson Wentz and Nelson. Oh, how do you do that? Nate, how do you drop this pass?
Yeah, he was looking downfield. Maybe even heard some footsteps coming.
All right, well, listen. Sometimes footsteps echo, and maybe this play will echo further. On a 4th and 14, Wentz just throws up a prayer to who? The echoes are awake. Nelson Aguilar, not a Notre Dame guy, quite the opposite, but makes a big catch to sustain the game. All right, now it's 4th and 8. Gotta have it. This is the game. We got Ertz. Do they move the chains? No. An unbelievably clutch tackle by Isaiah Oliver. If you look at this, he comes up short. They looked at it again. There is your walk-off. The Falcons win a fantastic fourth quarter game, 24-20. But the Eagles had, look at all these guys. Bang, Corey Clement, Deshaun, Alshon, Dallas Goedert, all out for Wentz, and they're still in it in the last minute of the game. But they take the loss. Falcons win. Let's hear from Carson after his first loss of the season.
You know, it's tough, and we're not by no means going to make excuses, and we've always talked next man up, but, you know, some of the stuff tonight you can't make up. You know, I've never seen, you know, guy after guy like that early in the ball game, and but, you know, guys stepped up. You know, guys stepped up. Guys were resilient. We came up a little short today, but I'm proud of the way the guys fought.
Nice bow tie, Carson Wentz. We'll break down this. You mentioned injuries. There are several of them, too, to the quarterback position to let Ian Rapoport join us for that. But when you look back on this Eagles-Falcons game from hours ago, Nate, what stood out to you?
It has to be Julio Jones. You know, Matt Ryan's 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. So the quarterback wasn't flawless, but Julio Jones stepped up big in a big moment. That's 6 consecutive games where Julio Jones scores a touchdown and gets 100 yards versus the Eagles. I mean, a monster performance by a guy who just got paid this offseason. And Schrags, I remember you saying this summer, hands down, I'm going with Julio, best receiver in the game. Even when he got paid, you said he's worth every single penny. And you know what? He went out last night and he proved it. That catch right there, the screenplay, Julio Jones was the monster, the guy that we remember. You know, it's funny. Phil Simms says to me all the time, never judge a guy while he's injured. Julio Jones has been banged up for a little bit of his career, and we kind of forget when he's healthy, he's the best receiver in the game. Right there, he pulled a full SpongeBob and was like, all right, I'm going to head out and score a touchdown. Shout out to Julio Jones.
He's the reigning Eagles killer. He destroys them on the stat sheet, yards, all of that, even touchdowns. I love that you mentioned that narrative is dying. He now has 6 straight games where he has scored a touchdown. But the story ending is the best for me, because you go back to 2017, huge moment in the playoffs in Philadelphia. Can't come up with the catch at the end of the game. You look at last year's season opener, also in Philadelphia. Catches the ball, goes out of bounds, can't win it for his team. This time, given the opportunity, game-winning situation, brings it home.
It was fantastic. And I tried to tell you guys, week 1 is a liar. Atlanta looked terrible in week 1. They didn't look great yesterday, but I'll tell you this. I don't know if there was a bigger winner in the entire NFL than the Atlanta Falcons yesterday. Think about the day that they had. Not only did they beat one of the best teams in the league, look what happened to the Saints.
After last night, and I know the Falcons had this great win, but I thought Philly played valiantly down the stretch there, and Carson Wentz did not have the first half he desired, and then the injuries happened. Let's bring up that full screen again of all the injuries on offense. You start losing guys like Alshon Jeffrey and Corey Clement, and you start losing guys that you need to really rely on, guys like Mac Hollins making big plays down the stretch. Dallas Goedert is not, this is the stuff that really legends are made of, and I thought Wentz threw that team on his back, made some huge plays. You start losing all these guys.
Superstars, Shay.
You start really relying Aguilar dropped that pass, but how about the fourth down, making the big reception? These plays by Carson Wentz were monumental in my view of Carson Wentz. The rap on him is that really good player, but when it matters most, I want Nick Foles in. No, Wentz, every time they needed him, made a big play. This was the wildest one, I thought. The third down pass that he did have to Hollins late. Wentz was awesome, and yet looked a little bit banged up at the end. I'm not sure if there's a rib injury there because he did not look like himself in the fourth quarter, and yet this was the one here. This is an incredible
great play
to move the chains, and he's not throwing to his number 1 guys. He's throwing to his number 3 and 4 guys. I thought Wentz was awesome, and as much as we're going to talk about Dak and Mahomes, all these young guys, in a loss, Carson Wentz played incredibly last night. Now we got to watch the injury wire because the Eagles, they can't compete in that loaded NFC without their full acclimate of receivers.
Shregs, speaking of injury, Ryan, I have a highlight for you guys. How about Saints Rams in this one? And a superstar went down in this game. It wasn't good for the Saints, but
again, I'm going to see a hand specialist and get his opinion, and then we'll see what the next steps are.
Are you concerned right now yourself about this?
Yeah, I am concerned. I'm hoping it's not too significant.
Saints fans are concerned. The entire NFC is concerned. So let's bring in the sheet. Ian, what can you tell us about this injury and the status of Drew Brees this morning?
Immediately following this loss to the Rams, Drew Brees went to see a hand specialist, Dr. Stephen Shin, in Los Angeles with Kerlin Jobe to try to figure out the full extent of his thumb injury. Sources tell me and Tom Pelissero that Brees is dealing with a ligament injury to his throwing thumb. They are trying to see the full extent of the injury. They should know today and just figure out what is next for Drew Brees. Does he need surgery on his throwing thumb? That is described to me as an option, but it is not the only option. And obviously, they're looking at a lot of different things to figure out how to proceed. Is it a sprain? Is it torn ligaments? What actually is the damage for Drew Brees? You can hear it in his words. He feared it was significant, but the hope is today they'll have a greater understanding of where Drew Brees stands following his visit with the specialist.
And we will have all of those details.
The season that Sean Payton was born for. This is his true calling, to look at Bridgewater and to look at Taysom Hill and to use all that ingenuity and make all this magic. We sat at this table and Peter had this great sermon about the Colts will rally behind Jacoby Brissett with Andrew Luck retiring. The Saints are more talented. They got better backups, I think. I think this goose is not cooked, but Sean Payton's going to have to coach his butt off.
I hate to rain on your parade, and I know the Saints don't want to hear this, but the answer is no, okay? No, they cannot win a Super Bowl without Drew Brees.
They can't win games, though? They can't.
Yeah, they can win games. Any team can win games. The Miami Dolphins can win games, but I'm saying
they get to the playoffs.
They can't get to the playoffs and make a run at a Super Bowl without a soon-to-be Hall of Famer. Drew Brees is not just your average quarterback. He's one of the best to ever do it. And I love Teddy Bridgewater, but he didn't show much in that game last night to show that he was ready to take over in a split-second time when your starting quarterback goes down. What's lost in this, and I have to say it, I mentioned in the highlight, Cam Jordan was phenomenal. He had 5 tackles, 2 QB hits, the fumble recovery, and I know we'll talk about it a little later in the show, but I have to throw his name out there because he did everything he could do within that game to try to make it difficult for the Rams. But it's unfortunate Drew Brees is down, and it might be a wrap for the Saints.
The power has completely shifted in the NFC. I think before the season started with Drew Brees healthy and all this, you would pencil the Saints in, okay, NFC Championship game, most likely. At the very least, they're going to the divisional round. They're going to take care of business. I can't say that right now. Teddy Bridgewater didn't look great yesterday. I'm not sure Teddy Bridgewater's ever looked great. He's the nicest guy in the league, but I'm not sure Teddy Bridgewater's getting you over the hump in that conference, which is so loaded. If you look at the quarterbacks of every team in the NFC, there are very few that you would take Teddy Bridgewater over them. So they need to rally around Teddy, and if anyone can get them going, it is Sean Payton, it is that city.
Right.
But optimism might not be as high as it would be with maybe another conference or division.
I mean, we don't know what the injury is necessarily, specifically how long he will be out or what he will miss. But this is still a loaded squad. This is a squad that has a ton of really talented, all-pro level players. So to me, I still put them in the contention. I still put them among the best because of Sean Payton signing that extension. He obviously has to prove what he can do. And they hung in there with Teddy Bridgewater. And it wasn't against the Dolphins. It was against the NFC champion Rams. So if they have a couple of those calls, Nate, go their way, they win this game against the stiffest competition in the NFC without Drew Brees.
It's a bold take. I don't think so.
All right, we'll get into it. Okay, great. More on that later. Pittsburgh holding their breath, talking about quarterback injuries. Big Ben left this game. Mason Rudolph with a flea flicker. We've got stats and an update from the rap sheet on the way. And Antonio Brown scores his first touchdown as a Patriot, and Tom Brady gives his evaluation of his new wide receiver. Well, this just went perfectly, didn't it?
Yeah, it went pretty well.